Riley is going to stay on stage, and we're going to welcome Duncan from 21Shares to join him on the stage. Two of the most active European ETF, ETP issuers will discuss the landscape, the space, and what they think 2026 will look like. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Hello. This is a first for me. I don't think I've done a fireside chat where you're kind of chatting with a competitor up here with no one to stand in between us. You tell us.
Yeah. So same, and we had a meeting before to prepare, like what are we going to talk about, and actually there's a lot to talk about because it is an exciting space. It is evolving super quickly, and also in Europe, US is a much easier market than Europe. Europe, there's different currencies, there's different regulators, there's different. Each region has got its own idiosyncrasies and are moving at a different pace. So we thought we would just talk a little bit about that, just to talk, because we actually operate, and our companies, our issuers are based in different parts of Europe. Bitwise's issuers are based in Germany.
Yeah, and we're headquartered and issued out of Switzerland. I mean, we're here in London, so I guess one of the big things that's gone on in crypto ETFs, ETPs in the last, I guess, like 5-6 months has been the opening up of crypto ETFs or ETPs to retail in the UK. So I thought we could kick off with that and just talk a bit about how that's gone and whether there's more to come. I mean, you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think the FCA lifted their crypto ban. There's a retail ban on crypto ETPs, and then they only allowed Bitcoin and Ethereum. So there's no retail investors cannot access these Solana ETFs and ETPs that I was talking about in the UK. They can everywhere else in Europe, but they can't here, and that's a huge frustration to us. We don't understand why this line has been drawn there. And that's something that we are, at Bitwise are lobbying towards. And also, we hate the fact that there's also been this sort of pullback, by the FCA and also by HMRC in terms of where these investments can be held. I don't know if you want to talk.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people here probably invest directly in crypto, but most of the world does not live on chain, does not operate on blockchain rails, and so that's why ETFs and ETPs really exist. There's like this $100 trillion investment management industry that is all on traditional rails, and that includes like all the wealth managers and then investors coming through advisors. A lot of people want to put crypto into their ISA. If you don't have an ISA, you should get one. It's tax-free investments. Of course, you want to put your crypto in there. And initially, you were allowed to, right? So the Bitcoin and Ethereum crypto ETNs in the UK could go into your ISA if your provider offered it. So a number of them did. Hargreaves Lansdown, AJ Bell did not, which was frustrating in itself. And then there's been this almost about turn, this idea that they're no longer going to be ISA eligible. They have to go to this other category, which is kind of for less liquid investments, which is insane. Like Bitcoin is, I know we're at House of Sol, but Bitcoin volumes are about 9 times the volumes of all FTSE 100 companies put together. So this idea that crypto is not liquid enough is just absolutely crazy. And yeah, we're lobbying to get that changed so that UK citizens can continue to allocate from their ISAs.
Yeah, and I think it's important to kind of just take a step back and why ETFs, why ETPs, what is the value that people see? I mean, most of the room, crypto native, have been, know their way around a wallet, have that ease of that user experience. There's a lot of people out there who don't. They're not tech savvy. They're scared of what they don't know. They always also like to be able to, if they mess something up, be able to phone somebody and say, hey, can you reset my password? And so this is kind of what the ETF is. It's a regulated wrapper that allows people to invest in these and get exposure to the price movements in these tokens like Solana. In a way that they can understand, the way they can log onto their AJ Bell account, one day, and see the balance in their Solana ETP, and with the feeling that somebody else is going to be looking after the difficult thing, the stress of being your own bank, which we've all felt and know well, which is not for everybody, and also the fact that you can use it in these kinds of products like a 401k in the US, these self-directed pension products around Europe and around the world. For the time being, it's not available to native token, but it is available to ETPs, and also financing. This is a big thing. You can use it more easily, and this is changing very, very rapidly, but you can use it, your ETF as collateral, for margin, for borrowing, which is right now a lot more difficult in the traditional finance, not in the world of DeFi, of course, but and this is rapidly evolving and one of the most exciting areas.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'd add is like so you mentioned that there's only Bitcoin and Ethereum in the UK. Sol is not an eligible asset, at least according to the London Stock Exchange, which is the only exchange that you can have ETNs on, crypto ETNs on just now in the UK. I think it will come, right? We're talking to the London Stock Exchange, to the FCA about this. We should be very excited. Despite it just being BTC and ETH, London Stock Exchange volumes for crypto ETNs in Europe are now third of all venues in Europe. And it's just Bitcoin and ETH, and there's still a lot of restrictions in terms of who allows their investors to access it. If you strip out the other assets from the other venues, London Stock Exchange is basically second in Europe already. So that there's, I mean, look at this room, it's packed. There's a lot of interest in this. I was at Aberdeen before, the asset management company, they own Interactive Investor. The top traded stocks on Interactive Investor last year, DATS. So we know that the UK consumer wants this exposure, and honestly, this is the way that you can get it with through regulated venues, with regulated custodians, and with liquidity. I mean, I don't know, this clock is ticking up, which is unusual to me as well, but I don't know how long we've got. 15 minutes, thank you, how long we've got left. But and maybe just to compare it to other parts of Europe, do you want to share some of your experience from Germany?
Sure. So I think one of the most exciting things that's happened more recently in the world of now we're talking about European ETFs. Now you cannot have a Solana ETF in Europe. It has to be an ETP, and we don't need to get into the reasons for that. But it's a technical reason, and it's about diversification. But what is really exciting is that in the world of ETFs, the ETF that's accessible to most investors is called a UCITS ETF. That's the wrapper that was designed it's kind of like a passepartout. It's an investment product that all investors can access, and it's very carefully monitored and controlled. And Luxembourg recently announced that you can allocate 10% of a UCITS ETF to crypto ETPs, like the ones that we have at Bitwise and at 21Shares and other issuers as well. And this is huge news because, I mean, maybe you know the actual number of how big UCITS ETF market is in Europe, but yeah. No,
but it's billions, right? It's like the 40 Act in the US. It is the regulated instrument or vehicle for most asset managers. Yeah,
it is exactly that. It's the 40 Act, and so we operate. Bitwise is very lucky to operate an issue out of Germany. The regulator there is one of the most forward-looking in Europe. Really has taken on and been very sort of proactive about crypto, whereas in other regions they've done the opposite. They've shut things down. Italy is a good example. Until recently, France was another example. Ireland as well. But they've been very proactive. In fact, they allow in local UCITS ETFs up to 30% crypto ETP allocation within the UCITS wrapper, which is huge. So we're very lucky that we have BaFin. And Switzerland is on a par in terms of being open.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Germany's the biggest market anyway, but Switzerland is super open. That's why we set up in 2018, originally in Zug and then in Zurich. There's a ton of foundations in Zug for different reasons, taxes as well. But it's a phenomenal country to operate in, and very, very forward thinking. The other thing maybe to think about in terms of, Europe is quite mature for these products, and so that means that the investors have been in it for a long time. Obviously, UK is just opening up. US is for the last kind of couple of years has been opening up. The investor types and the mix has changed a lot. So we see a ton of institutional interest coming in, kind of to the point of like the prior presentation. I think in Europe now, 50% of like our assets are actually institutional investors. Okay, it's hedge funds, prop desks, wealth managers, private banks, but it's certainly growing, and it's not just all buy and hold. There's a lot of trading. Hedge funds love the basis trade. It's a huge part of it as well, huge part of the volumes, and it just gives you a sense of this is a real thing. And unlike before FTX, where honestly a lot of people just pulled out after that, I was saying earlier it was like the best thing that happened to my career because it forced me down this other path. It's different this time. It's not stopping. Once these groups have made these public announcements and commitments to it, it's not going away.
Yeah, I strongly agree with that. And I think, in terms of institutional adoption, the ones that are still, just dipping their toes in the water are by nature the slowest moving, the most cautious. We're talking the largest, asset managers, pension funds, life funds, sovereign wealth funds. And it's easier for a private bank or a wealth manager or a family office to allocate towards crypto because the decision-making process is much shorter. But when Allianz Global or whatever, you have to. There's a process that you have to go through. You have to got committees, and you have to bring everybody along on the journey. And so that is happening, and it has been happening. But I can say, this institutional adoption is not about if it's happening now. We see it every day in the, DDQ requests that come in, and it's just the beginning, and it's super positive. So yeah.
That's a sufficiently positive note to end it on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.